Alex Danson, England captain. It's been a year and a bit now. Does it sit easy with you? Is it very normal now, or are you still getting used to it?
I don't know. I don't think it's easy. I don't think you ever really get used to it. I now understand far more my kind of job for the team, and very simply, it's about thinking about what we can do as a group to be better. And it's something I feel very honoured and I enjoy very much.
There's a lot of strong leaders, whether it's the Great Britain setup and taking the core of that team into the England setup. There's so many strong leaders, so many good choices as captains. What was it like when you got the sort of call to come in and have a chat, and when you finally thought, yeah, that's me, I'm GB in England captain?
Well, it was incredibly special. So it came from the team. So to have that mandate was something that was hugely important to me.
So explain that to me. So was it a secret vote? Was it a bit of paper?
Yeah, so it was a poll, essentially. So it was an online. I mean, we're past the paper days now, Colin. It's all digital. We don't write things down.
Could be fixed. Did the Russians have anything, any influence in this? Because Holly Pern-Webb said to me that she thinks there may have been interference.
So it was just everyone got to cast their vote and say why they casted that vote for that individual, and that's how we came up with our leadership model, which was a captain, 2 vice captains, and a leadership group. Mm-hmm. So, of course, that was an absolute huge honour. But you've hit the nail on the head. We have got a team full of fantastic leaders, and I think the makeup of the group that is representing the wider group really hits every corner of our squad, and every player has their responsibilities and jobs to do. So that's how we try to work as a team.
It seems a much more healthy way to go about it, to go to the team to elect a leader than to have, for want of a better phrase, top brass look down and pick that leader. It's a different remit, isn't it?
It is a slightly different remit, and actually, to be at the very beginning, it was of this cycle, because we hadn't set kind of our vision for this next 4 years and our values as a group and our behaviours. We weren't quite in the place to essentially give that responsibility to somebody. So at the time it was almost decided, but once we had that kind of culture, that environment that we'd started to experiment with here and really put in place, it put us as individuals in a better place to make the decision for the best of the team, and that's kind of where we've got to.
I suppose there's certain things you don't want to do. If you're playing at a festival in the 70s, you didn't really want to go on after Jimi Hendrix, and to this extent, Kate Richardson-Walsh, it's like there's a pair of shoes bigger than Krusty the Clown's.
Yes, I very quickly realised that trying to fill those is an impossible task. When people say nothing is impossible, that is totally impossible. Kate was the most fantastic leader, the most fantastic player. She is a great friend of mine. And I won't lie, I was very nervous because I thought I'm not up to that task. I can't be Kate. And I think it was actually Kate that spoke to me and kind of said, don't be me, be yourself, be authentic, do it your way. And I learnt so much from her, more than she will ever know. And so that has informed how I am. So even in that, I'm following in her footsteps by what she's taught me, but I'm trying to be authentic and I'm trying to do it my way. And my way is very much getting everybody else's strengths and trying to use them as best as I can. And I feel the key for me doing a good job is the whole team speaking, it's the whole team taking part, it's the whole team doing different parts of our programme and really using their strengths to leverage on what we can do as a group. So that's how I'm trying to work.
There's an episode of Friends in which Chandler becomes the boss at the company he works at, and he goes to the water cooler and he makes a joke and everyone walks away now, where before they laughed. So is there an inevitable change in dynamic when all of a sudden you're captain? You take a little foot out slightly of the squad?
I think that's probably partly my age, as much as, I'm now significantly the eldest in the group. So to a level maybe, but actually I haven't really been any different to how I was before. And actually, so a big change in this cycle for me is there was a lot of retirements as Great Britain, when we finished after Rio, there was a lot of retirements from players that I played with my whole career. So I think that shift, whether I was made captain or not captain, was always going to be a bit different. And now I really enjoy, occasionally sometimes, perhaps you are, as you said, kind of a step or a foot aside, but actually it's also making sure you're getting to know new players coming in. It's making sure that you are trying to surplus the needs of of all of us, because all of us together will make the greatest squad, and I really enjoy that. And I think that's a kind of a privileged side to the job that we have here.
One thing being around Bisham Abbey for a couple of days struck me is not the divide in the squad, I would never say that, but a very natural difference in this squad than the one that, say, as a core of GB that won Olympic gold, is that you've got Holly Pern-Webb, and you've got Maddie Hinch, and you have Sophie Brain, you have Laura Unsworth, and you have yourself, and you went through so much together. And then you look and you've got Catherine Lane, who's had 1 England cap so far, and Hannah Martin with a bit more experience but still new to the team, and Anna Toman, and players like that. Is your job to make sure the dressing room doesn't split in generations almost?
I think it's not just my job, it's our job. So it's, I think, for us to create as a team a new, as I said, almost a new set of values that we belong to, that becomes our identity, that moulds us. So of course, I have memories with Laura Unsworth, I played with since 2008, Nick White, and that's incredibly special. But I am still in this environment because I can't wait to make those kind of relationships with Catherine Lane, with Erica, with Ellie, with new players that have come in. And I think whilst we all have that at the forefront of our mind, that is exactly what a full-time programme allows us to do. And I think people that tuned in when, as Great Britain, we won in Rio, you saw a connection between a group of humans that it's very hard to put into words. Now, people always ask me, why have you come back into this environment? That is exactly why. Yeah. Because that takes time. It doesn't happen. That was the product of hours of work. That was a product of years of going through great things, going through horrendous things together. And that's why I'm back in this environment, and I know that's why the likes of Laura, the likes of Maddie, the likes of Holly are back here too, because we want to recreate that again. You
know, longevity, I think, is one of the holy grails of sport. Yeah. Very, very hard to win again. You see it with football teams, a successful manager, and you can bring in somebody so talented, but that L word, longevity, do you think it's becoming harder?
I think you're right. The idea of trying to winning after winning, it will be our greatest challenge, but it's also our greatest privilege to try. And you talk of longevity, I think that's something that made me kind of really sit up and think this team is quite special, is in the one we are now in, because we recognised that straight away. And when we talked about our vision, it was some of our newer athletes that straight away said, we want to be a part of Create History, be the difference and inspire the future, which was what our vision was in the last cycle. So we've kept that. So in terms of the longevity, hopefully that piece will keep. Some of our new values are very much about attaching ourselves or connecting ourselves completely to our past and understanding that. And then trying to move on and step forward and look ahead to what we have in front of us. That is where, yes, longevity is incredibly difficult, but if you put the right, I believe, environment and programme and people in place, it gives you the best opportunity to try and achieve that.
What about motivation? When you've stood literally on the highest platform on top of the ultimate podium in your sport, how at 32, with everything you've been through, highs and lows, because you can't fake motivation. No. Don't care what anyone says. Where are you getting your drive? Because I know you can't operate lower than 100%. I know if you were 99%, you'd retire.
Yeah. There's one very specific occasion, which I share, and then there's another. And my very specific occasion was in a very small room in Rio. It was at the end of our tournament, and Danny had all of the players and all of the staff in a tiny cramped room. There's nothing overly glamorous, and he did a fantastic job of thanking everybody, thanking the staff, thanking the players, and then we were all, it was after Olympic Games, we were quite tired, we hadn't had much sleep. Yeah. We'd obviously had a fantastic trip, and we were just getting up to go, and he went, no, I've got one more thing to share with you. And we were like, okay. And he said, Friday night I really enjoyed. We were thinking, great, we won the Olympics.
Glad he liked it.
Yeah, glad he liked it. Then Saturday, he said, obviously it was taken over with media, and he said, Sunday this morning, I woke up and all I can think about is Tokyo. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, we're still in Rio. Come on, enjoy it. And of course he did. But then he put up the slide and it said, winning after winning. Yeah. And almost in that moment, in that 3 words, I think I probably loved and hated him in equal measures, because I was kind of thinking, this is the best it will ever get. And kind of that that challenge that he presented to us, and having the privilege, as I said, of trying, of trying to create history again, is almost something I felt I couldn't walk away with. And honestly, in a second, had there been any doubt before, I was like, okay, now I'm staying, that's it.
in.
And then the second for me is because I think the single greatest thing the last programme gave me was the feeling of belonging and being in a team. And, you know, we aren't the most talented individuals, but we have this magical ability, I believe, here because of the programme we have and the individuals and the staff that we have in our team to create something where you belong and you're a part of a team. And I believe that's why we were successful in Rio, and I think gives us the best opportunity to try and do it again in Tokyo.
A lot of sports people go their whole lives without ever getting to play a World Cup or an Olympics in their hometown. You've been really lucky in your career.
Lucky.
But it's a different kettle of fish with a captain's armband and leading your country in your country.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you know, my job I see as captain is to do my job and play well. So the first thing for me is I have to play well to try and make that team. And that's always absolutely at the front of mind. If I were to be successful
I think you have a good chance.
If I was to be successful and go, you know, I almost can't really think about how it would feel to be a part of a team, as you say, that moment that you walk onto home turf. I will never forget the moment against Japan in London. It was 17,500 people. On that occasion, it was white, red and blue. You touch the turf, you're at home and you're playing one of the biggest arenas now. To have a home World Cup, and I almost make this promise, I believe it will be the best World Cup hockey has ever seen. We filled out our stadium, and to be a part of that team that I believe can do some really special things would be just incredible.
The tickets flew out. I'm going to put it to you, it's going to be harder to end this year's World Champions than it was then 2016 as Olympic champions. I think for the most part, I think everybody wants to knock you off a pedestal, and to so many teams now, you're the cup final.
Yeah, you're right. I think more difficult. I think it's a different challenge. So I think it's definitely going to present different challenges for us playing at home World Cup for exactly that reason. It was our success we had as GB. But obviously coming into a home World Cup, home advantage is a wonderful thing, but there's also sometimes a level of expectation. Now, what we did very well moving into our home Europeans in 2015 was, you know, accept that pressure. Pressure is almost like a privilege. If you've got pressure on you, it's because people have high expectations of you. But if we can remove ourselves from that and accept it and then just concentrate on what we're there to try and do as a team, enjoy the spectacle, the occasion, the moment that will bring, then I believe we can do a really good job in a few months' time.
In the dressing room, before you go out, now as captain, because I'm sure you've sat through a lot of team talks from coaches, and you've sat through a lot of motivational speeches from captains and thought, I know what I would say. What's your personality? Is it a quiet word in ears, or I'm thinking Al Pacino any given Sunday?
I wish it could be Al Pacino every given Sunday. Sadly, I have nor the brains nor the words to do that, but what I have had the fortune is to have, yes, great captains, great coaches, great volunteers, great leaders within my life that have probably made me realise that no matter what words I give, it's how a person feels and it's how ready they feel. So in the changing room, I'll tell you very simply what we do. I always have a conversation with our leadership group and I ask them, what do the team need at this point? How do we need to feel when we step out on that moment? And, you know, the changing room is great fun. I say great fun, there's probably me, boring Al, and then there's nice music going on, and then you've got someone that's reading a book, but they're ready. You've got someone playing with hockey ball, and then I call time and like, right, we've got 5 minutes. We come together as a huddle. We're very tight, we're connected. And I say, connectivity, human connectivity is probably one of the most powerful things. So we're there, we're together, and sometimes it can be as simple as, and I ask from the players, what are you going to bring to the team in the first 5 minutes of the game? We just go around and, you know, eye contact, understanding what a person's going to bring and making sure everybody has contributed, I see as my job. So
a watching brief almost there. Very
Yeah,
observational.
almost. It's more, I would certainly say it's observational, and then it's down to us. It's certainly not down to any one individual in that group. And it's about how can we lead ourselves for the good of the team to get the most out of the team, and that's how I try to frame those last moments.
Yeah.
As I said, contribution is key. We have to all contribute. We play in a team sport where that is almost the most vital commodity we have. And then I feel, that's when I walk out the changing room and feeling like this is going to be a great game.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty special moment for the team, I think.
And when you lead the team out, what would that person say to the young Alex who first picked up a hockey stick and first thought, now forget the first moment you picked it up because you wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
But the first moment you went, I want to do this. I want to go, I dream now of walking out and leading my country.
Yeah, do you know what? I even in this moment, until it happens, I'm not sure I'll ever believe it's going to happen. Because I think I kind of live by, this is just how I work, it's how I'm wired. Nothing's ever a given, and I know I have the huge honour where I have this, I have been given the captaincy, but until the day comes, I'm just going to focus on today. I'm going to do the best that I can do today, and then when it's tomorrow, I'll do the best that I can do in that point. And you're always thinking ahead, but it's always around, okay, how can we be better? How can I be better? When the moment comes, if the moment comes where I do lead the team out in that home World Cup, then the only thing I want to feel is ready. The only thing I want to feel is that the 18 of us that are lucky enough to walk out and the other athletes that are here and haven't made the team are supporting, that we did everything we possibly can, and then I'll feel like I've done an okay job.
And at the end of the day, you'll always have this. You can never be taken away from you. Farnborough High School named their pitch after you, didn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And actually, I didn't know until I went to open the pitch. They said, "Will you come and open it?" I said, "Oh, I'd love
Bet
to."
you did.
I went and opened it, and I said, "If only we'd have when I was at school." And I went, and I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm quite an emotional person, can't you probably know that? I literally just burst into tears. I couldn't believe it. It was incredibly special, and no, I would never have forecast anything. And actually, my dad's a brilliant leveller. I feel like I've had a very fortunate career. I've worked very hard, but so does everybody. And there's some people that work very hard and don't quite make it and will maybe retire with 20 caps and wanted to have done more. And Dad always says to me, he said, to get one cap for your country is so special. And you're right, everything that we've done as a team, when we've won, when we've lost, when we've had great days, when we've had bad days, when we've had moments in the cabin that you don't forget, no one can ever take any of that away from us. The friendships we've built, the places we've visited, the memories we've kept, they're in the locker, they won't ever go away. And that, I feel incredibly lucky.
Well, on that subject, and the last question, you're probably going to custard pie it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think I might get media Alex Danson here. You're 32.
Yes.
You're heading through your last cycle, without a doubt, and then the baton will be passed. You've won Olympic gold, famously, and you've done so much in your career. Would leading this particular group as England to World Cup glory at this stage of your career, would it top everything?
That's a really good question. I don't think it would. Would it top everything? It would be the most, or one of the most magical moments of my career. I don't know how I could differentiate between a few. Between the first time you play for your country, between that moment in Rio, between the first time we won a world medal in Rosario at World Cup. It would be a spectacular moment, but yeah, it would be up there.
Well, either way, I mean, we're sitting here at this country table. The interview's finished. We can hang about for a bit. We can enjoy the beautiful river and the beautiful scenery here at Bisham Abbey, but you're in training, so I'll have a pint, please, and a glass of water. Yeah, tap water. I don't want to pay. Thanks. Cheers. It's not going to be fun for you.